Motorola's Moto G range of smartphones is its most successful to date, and for 2016 there's two models to choose from. So following a confusing line of Moto G phones, Motorola has finally put the generation number onto the model number. So this is the Moto G4 and this is the Moto G4 Plus. So in this video we're going to show you the differences between the two and help you decide which one to buy. So there are actually a lot of things that are similar between these phones. As you can see, design wise you'd be forgiven for not being able to tell them apart completely, as they are the same size and shape. They're both 9.8mm thick and 155 grams. So they're not the thinnest and lightest phones, but equally we wouldn't describe them as bricks either. They've both got a 5.5 inch full HD screen with an IPS panel, and the screens are very good quality, especially for the price. So both are available for under £200. So the Moto G4, the regular model, is available for £169 on Motorola's Moto Maker, and that's where you can customise the phone. So you can choose different rear covers, you can choose a different accent colour. The Moto G4 Plus is available for £229 on the Moto Maker, but you can get it for £199 if you just buy the standard model on retailers such as Amazon. They both run on a Qualcomm Snapdragon 617 processor, so that's one of Qualcomm's mid-range processors, which is an octa-core processor, and we found performance to be very good for a phone under £200, probably one of the best you'll find at this price point. So one of the ways they do vary is the storage and the RAM available. So the regular Moto G4 is available in either 16 or 32 gigabytes, and you will only get 2 gigabytes of RAM on that model. Whereas if you're a bit more of a power user, the Moto G4 Plus comes with 32 or 64 gigabytes of storage, and the 64 gigabyte model comes with a healthy 4 gigabytes of RAM. So it's going to benefit anyone doing some intensive tasks on the device. They both do have a microSD card slot though, so that takes away some of the storage worries if you're thinking about getting the cheaper Moto G4. Both phones in 2016 are missing some of the modern features that we're seeing elsewhere, even on some cheaper phones. So there's no Type-C USB, so we're just stuck with the regular version. There's no wireless charging, although that's not quite as expected. And one of the main differences about the Plus is that it's got its fingerprint scanner below the screen, as you can see, but neither phone has NFC, so you can't use the fingerprint scanner with something like Android Pay, which is a bit of a shame. Moving on to the cameras, which is one other area where the two phones differ. So the Moto G4 has a 13 megapixel camera, and meanwhile the Plus has a slightly higher resolution 16 megapixel camera, but the other specs remain the same. So you've still got a laser autofocus and a dual tone flash, and the same aperture, etc. Unfortunately, in our tests we've not really noticed a difference between the quality in the two cameras, so you might think that as someone who's keen on photography you would go for the Plus model, but we're really not seeing that difference, especially if you're just going to be uploading photos to Facebook to share with friends and family. At the front is the same 5 megapixel camera, so there's no difference there, and although you can take the rear cover off to have a little look at the 3000 mAh battery, you can't take it out on either model, which is another shame. And just a quick note on the design: if you are looking at the older Moto G from last year, the phones are no longer fully waterproof, which is another shame, but Motorola's decided to save some money there and spend it elsewhere. The Plus model does come with Motorola's turbocharger, so you will be able to charge the Plus up a bit quicker. That's included in the box, but the regular model does not come with that. Both phones come with exactly the same software, as you can see, just different wallpapers pre-installed. So we're running Android 6.0 Marshmallow with a very light skin on top, so we're getting very much a Google Nexus experience, and the only real addition is Motorola's Moto app, which we're more than happy to be on the phone preloaded. You've got lots of nice things in here, including the actions for quickly turning the camera on and such like, and then also the display, which will show you things on the lock screen every now and then, and you can automatically keep the screen dark overnight to save battery. Unless you really want the 64 gigabytes of storage and 4 gigabytes of RAM on the Moto G4 Plus and the fingerprint scanner, it's probably worth just opting for the cheaper model and saving that extra cash, especially because the camera isn't any better.